Fisichella out of his way and trying to build up a gap before he has to come in the hope that when he comes out after his stop, he will be in front of Fisichella. Time will tell.
Yeah, and he's only got to find 6 or 7 tenths, has Coulthard, on an in or an out lap or during the pit stop. And who was that in the background? Hakkinen in for a stop too. So Coulthard, we know, was fueled. It looked like 3 or 4 laps longer on the first stint looking at the data here. So Coulthard, we know, can go a little, well, we assume can go a little bit further yet. We don't know how much fuel they put in Coulthard's car at the first stop. Certainly leapfrogged him past the Ferrari of Barrichello, and Hakkinen comes out alongside Ralf Schumacher,
who passes him and gets ahead of the McLaren. That is not going to help Mika at all, but Ralf Schumacher moves up a place. This race is really coming alive. We're on lap 24 out of 36. The crowd and the weather, incidentally, which I had expected to, and Mika Hakkinen does to Ralf Schumacher what he did to his brother last year, except that Riccardo Zonta is not there this time.
Just shows you how many revs they've knocked out of that BMW engine. It's twice this afternoon. The fastest car in a straight line easily in qualifying has just been breezed past by a Ferrari first, then a McLaren. So they've really kicked that BMW engine to make sure it can get to the end of the race. Ralf clearly short shifting there, losing an enormous amount of straight line speed.
And we're on lap 25 with Michael Schumacher, who we have seen hardly anything of in this race, because he is, it's a demonstration race as far as he's concerned. And as I say that, we see him on the screen just to establish that the brilliant 4 times a world champion German is on his way to his 52nd Grand Prix, as in comes David Coulthard. Now, when he rejoins, where is Fisichella going to be? But now, James, over to you.
It's going to be very, very marginal indeed. Coulthard needed a good in-lap. He's only been 1 lap since Fisichella made his stop. This has got to be pretty crisp as well for McLaren. 7 seconds they're looking for in a perfect world to try and nip it slightly slow off the fuel hose, but he should do it, Murray.
Fisichella was 8.4, Coulthard 7.2. Look, 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 there is Fisichella, and he passes the pit lane exit before, just marginally before David Coulthard. They are in exactly the same position as they were before the pit stop, and that will be heartbreaking for David Coulthard, who tried so hard when Fisichella had gone into the pits to go faster and be able to get ahead. He has failed.
We don't think they changed the tyres on Fisichella's car at the pit stop. We're not absolutely sure. We haven't. They did not change the tyres on Fisichella's car at the pit stop. So quite clearly, he liked the balance of it so much, and the wear rate clearly not that high around here. So on this shortened race, so Fisichella then just fueled up. And can Coulthard do anything about it on this stint, the final stint of the Grand Prix?
Bit of a gamble for Fisichella, who is on Michelin tyres, of course. And here is Michael Schumacher coming in for his stop with a lead of 37 seconds. So he can refuel, change all 4 wheels, take his helmet off, have a smoke and a cup of tea, put him on back again and rejoin in the lead. A massive, massive lead. And a very slick stop from Ferrari. 7.7 seconds, which is 7/10 of a second faster than the quick one we have just been. And Michael Schumacher tours out of the pits. He's still going to be in the lead. He has not lost it. And this is his 26th lap. 10 laps coming up at the end of this one for the conclusion of the Belgian Grand Prix, with the positions for 2nd and 3rd still unchanged. And David Coulthard having a real go now. Of course, he's on fresh tyres and Fisichella isn't, and this could make all the difference.
David having a bit of a fake look down the inside there. Now let's see if Fisichella's still got a traction advantage. Of course, he's always going to be, he has indeed, hasn't he? But he's always going to be on the throttle 1 car length earlier. But the Benetton Renault definitely clawing its way out of the slow corners in a very effective manner. Not dissimilar to the way they both left the start line on both the starts this afternoon. But this is where Coulthard passed him in the first race. And he's not close enough this time around, but that's where it's going to happen if it happens.
And that's where Hakkinen passed Schumacher last year with that incredible passing manoeuvre when Schumacher went to the left of Riccardo Zonta and Hakkinen went to the right, and Mika Hakkinen came out in front and won the race. First and second were Hakkinen and Michael Schumacher, who's got this quite incredible record here in Belgium, second last year, first in 92, first in 94, only to be excluded, first in 95, 96 and 97. Is he going to be first in 2001? Well, David Coulthard, as I said, if he finishes second or third, is going to increase the gap between himself and the third place man in the Drivers' Championship, who is Rubens Barrichello, who is still ahead, of course, of Ralf Schumacher. Race order on lap 26, 36 lap race. Michael Schumacher leads, Fisichella and Coulthard, that you can see there, battling for second place, ahead of Mika Hakkinen fourth and Ralf Schumacher, separated by 8 seconds. Jarno Trulli is in sixth place, his teammate Jordan Lacey, and then look at this.
Look how close Coulthard is this time around, but not quite close enough. Updated information from the pit lane. They just changed the rears on Fisichella's car, apparently, and not the front. So 2 new rears. Leaving the fronts, they do look, there's hardly any grooves left in his front tyres, but Coulthard looking more menacing this time around.
Yeah, obviously it's a balance question, because they could have put on new fronts in the time that it took on to put on new rears.
Yeah, it's not a pit stop saving issue. It's the tyres quite clearly work better. I mean, it's a slick. He's got slick front tyres on effectively, which is sort of squeezing the very extreme edge of the envelope of the regulations there. But look at Fisichella's left front. It is virtually bald. No grooves in that one.
They're coming up to lap Verstappen. They've already lapped, as has Michael Schumacher, of course. Enrico Bernoldi, who is 13th out of the 14 runners, and Olivier Panis, who is 12th. Now they're coming up to Jos Verstappen, who is in 11th place in the Arrows. And here we're looking back at the replay of Mika Hakkinen going into the bus stop, getting it cross-threaded, going over the grass, easing off just to keep the front wing clear of the ground, regaining race pace. And of course he was 16 seconds ahead of Jarno Trulli, so although he's lost time, it won't have affected his position. And now Fisichella and Coulthard can see Verstappen's lapped or about to be lapped arrows getting closer and closer. It's crucial now for Fisichella that he gets past at the right moment, and hopefully before David Coulthard can do so, but it won't happen on this lap.
And look how dirty Coulthard's car is from it must be, clearly having followed him so long, from the Benetton of Fisichella. A lot of engine oil, and can Fisichella get to the end of this motor race from a reliability point of view? Certainly from a performance point of view, doesn't have too much of a problem at the moment. But without doubt, in this third sector of the race, it's Coulthard with the faster car, and David, that looks a touch of a squeeze.
And they both go through inside the arrows. They shall not pass. The Maginot Line policy from Giancarlo Fisichella in the French engine with the Renault Benetton, and he stays ahead of David Coulthard. What a wonderful season David Coulthard has had. He's had 3 retirements, but he's done so well in all the others.
Coulthard's got a good run through Eau Rouge this time around, and can he sweep around the outside? Indeed he can. Beautiful move from David Coulthard. Somehow or other Fisichella wrong-footed in Eau Rouge. We saw him with a big advantage into Eau Rouge, but somehow he lost it in the middle. Coulthard getting a good slingshot and making it stick around the outside. Now I believe with that faster car, Coulthard will begin to pull away in a clear second place.
So can he do something about Michael Schumacher's lead? Not enough, of course, because Michael Schumacher is half a minute up the road now. He's 30 seconds ahead of David Coulthard's second-placed McLaren as the Scotsman comes up to lap Tasso Marquez. Here's a replay.
Yeah, and he had the extra straight line speed, and when you're up the inside, it's dirtier, it's bumpier. You know you have to brake early, and so does the guy trying to pass you around the outside. He's got the clean line and the confidence, and well, David put a lot of trust into Fisichella there, that he wouldn't just lock a wheel and slide straight into the side of him too. But I think Fisichella's an old enough hand now that you would put your safety of your chassis in his hands.
Yeah, 88 Grand Prix for Giancarlo Fisichella, and he's a very equable, level-headed chap. He wasn't going to do anything silly. And David Coulthard is now really pulling away from the Benetton. But if Fisichella can finish in a podium position, that is to say in third place, it would be the first time this year that a Benetton has been there.